Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hashtag General, where this time I actually have written an intro and it's a terrible joke. All right, you ready for this? A Russian soldier walks into a Ukrainian bar. What does he get served? A Molotov cocktail. But, terrible jokes
Oh,
101. Okay, how's
yeah.
it going, Chris?
Yeah, funny.
Logan's funny. No, he's
Oh,
not.
that one was that one
Terrible.
was close. That one was close to home.
Ugh. Yeah, I have plenty of bad jokes, and sometimes they just escape. Sorry. How are you doing, Chris?
Brad, it's been a weird couple weeks of just like, well, I guess that happened today.
Yeah, no, the past few weeks have been I you've heard about my crazy week. But I can't actually talk about it on the podcast because there's details that I can't share
Sure,
publicly.
sure.
But so not only has like the world been crazy, like work was crazy for me for like the past week. Like absolutely ridiculously crazy.
Right.
And so I remember even you made the comment to me when I sent the show note where you're like, well, this is gonna be quick.
Yeah,
Just
it's just
like,
been a slow week in general for like, and I think it goes back to like the thing of like, there's so much other stuff happening in the world
yeah.
that like everyone has just sort of been like, yeah, I guess that's happening.
Yeah, like
It's a lot of like, let's hold off this announcement until this dies down.
yeah. No,
So
it just seems like everyone's attention and focus is on Ukraine,
true.
as it probably should be for a lot. Like, you should don't be like me and spend all of your spare moments on like news Twitter, but you probably like if you aren't reading up on what's going on there, you should probably like at least read like the breakdown from like BBC or something.
Sure.
Um, because it's kind of world's gone crazy. Like this is pre 90s style Cold War drama, which of course means it comes with nukes.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, so it's just weird, especially I want to, like, having studied history, I feel like reading about, oh my god, detente and nukes and everything, like, I feel like I'm reading, like, the history textbook again, but I'd imagine for most of our generation, it's kind of like we've dealt with a lot of shit, but nukes have always kind of been like this weird background noise that you only worry about with like North Korea and Iran, and they can't do anything. And then Russia's like a whole other thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a weird one. It's certainly something where it's like it feels really close to home. It's not close to home. Like we're
yeah,
not involved in any way, and it's very far away. But like it's still very concerning.
it's still very concerning, and I think a lot of it is just Europe and North America are more interconnected than say North America and Africa or North America and like the Middle East.
Yeah, even like Asia, right? Like
Yeah. Like there's and and so I think anytime anything happens in Europe, like this is I want to say is a problem with, like that spans just from like how we teach history in this country to just how things operate. But anytime anything like this happens in Europe, the Americas pay more attention than it would if, say, like North Korea launched another test missile, and I only saw that because of like a random tweet. Like no one was really talking about it. Um, so I think that's part of it. Also, I think the fact that Ukraine is fighting back and everyone, like from the military to their citizens, has taken up arms is, I think, another thing, is where it has been a full effort from that entire country. And that's kind of hard to not pay attention to, especially in the face of what a lot of people thought was like annihilation. And it just hasn't played out that way. So, plus if you are on social media and you haven't seen some of like the things that have been said or shared by like the Ukrainian government is freaking
going hard. It's really
They're going
funny.
hard, and it's just like they are owning Russia in the meme
Yeah,
war.
it's it's the kind of thing where it's like it's really funny in like a vacuum, and if you only look at social media, you're like, this is hilarious.
Yeah, if you only were like paying attention, like if your entire understanding of the war was Ukrainian social media, like government social media tweets, you would be like, "Oh man, Russia's getting owned." But you know, a lot of the reason they're doing that is so they keep people paying attention. Like they are doing it so eyes stay on them, so people continue to like support sanction efforts and other things because it's going to start hurting, especially in Europe. Like gas
Yeah,
prices are going to skyrocket in Europe.
I
So
mean they
they
already
need,
kind of are.
yeah, so they need to keep the goodwill. But yeah, it's what's also I find interesting is how many um troll right-wing American and American in quotes accounts all of a sudden went silent when Russia lost access to a lot of the internet.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It's like, gee, man, all this time people are like, oh, Russia's not doing all this stuff to try to mess with American politics. But oh, hey, all of these weird right wing, like, accounts that keep posting about things all of a sudden went quiet when Russia went quiet. Imagine that. Like, gee, I wonder why.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's been interesting to say the least. But like I said earlier, don't take your news from us. Go to like a trusted news source like BBC uh, to get your details on what's going on. Also, trusted news source usually means not Russian, which is kind of crazy. No, like, did you, James? I know you kind of made the don't trust Russia face, but I don't know if you caught this, Chris or James, but basically all Russian news channels have been banned from Reddit. Like you can't post,
You
you
can't
can't,
post it.
yeah, you just can't
That's
post
funny.
anything from like RT, which is like Russian news media. It just got banned. Like Reddit just went nope. It's
It's really
banned
funny.
now. It's kind of interesting. Let's see how much like disinformation has just disappeared literally the moment everyone was just like, okay, no, Russia bad. Um,
Russia bad.
Russia bad. But enough of the world. Let's escape it. What have you been outside of paying attention to Ukraine and their amazing Twitter accounts? Chris, what have you been watching or playing recently?
It's kind of like I've been putting a lot of time into a thing for work, which we talked about, but that's more
Yeah,
of a different. It's a game that I can't talk about playing, being able to play it.
NDAs are fun. You know, I had a crazy week.
Yeah.
I can't talk about it. You
Actually,
had a
I
crazy
can't.
week?
I can say what it is. I just can't say anything else. So
Oh,
I've
I thought
been
you were completely blocked out.
no, because they've posted that the test is live and that people are invited and playing it. They just
Ah,
like you're just not allowed to talk about what the test actually is. So I've been playing a lot of multiverses. That's the WB like Smash game. So yeah, I can't say anything about it, but I've been playing it for about a week now. Um, and then uh,
I can say
that
this because I'm not you. It's a game. So
is a
for
game.
those of you who don't know, it's a game.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a game.
it's a game.
And so yeah, that's about it for that. And then I did dive into a little bit of Elden Ring before. Um, I got pretty far in Elden Ring. I'm gonna go back to it, but before the technical test for this started, I was kind of diving into that. And then yeah, I think that's about it for the new stuff. Everything else is pretty like status quo and
Yeah.
business as usual. Waiting for Winning Time to start tonight, which I'm very excited about. Um, that's
Which
about
one's
it.
this? Like, I
Oh,
just totally. Yeah.
Winning Time is the HBO. It's the new HBO show. It's like it's based on the book. The
Oh,
the
this is the LA Lakers show.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the Lakers
Yeah.
show. So I'm very
Yeah. I've
excited about it. It
I've
looks
heard
great.
I've heard very good things about it.
Yeah, it looks great. So I'm very excited. And
The
it's a book that I've read many times. So like I'm very excited to see how they pull this off. So.
Yeah, I've been in hockey space, which should
Ooh.
surprise no one. As I'm wearing my Seattle Kraken T-shirt. Uh, ha, gotta represent.
We're gonna have to blur that.
What?
We're gonna have to blur that.
It probably a good idea. No one wants to see anything below my neck. Even then, above the neck is still debatable.
Just the neck. That's fine.
Just the neck. The neck is fine. So I've been getting way too deep into NHL 22's franchise mode, or as James and Jeff have described it when they've seen me play it. Oh, it's Excel with slightly better graphics.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the same way.
Yeah, like I totally was getting like way too deep into it, and by way too deep, probably exactly as deep as I should go. Haven't really touched it for a while because I've been playing more Halo again with a friend of mine from high school. So my best friend
Yeah,
from high school.
I was playing Halo to max out the samurai event, but that's about it.
Yeah, we were playing for that samurai event, and just honestly, Halo's
I like
match.
Fiesta a lot.
What?
I like Fiesta a lot.
Fiesta was fun, but we kept running into weird matchmaking issues like that weekend. Also, for some reason, and I don't know if it's like on my end or on his end or if it's on Xbox's end, we keep having issues with Xbox Party Chat where it just will cut out randomly.
Yeah, it's always had that issue.
Yeah. What it will to the level we've been getting to it I've never really experienced. Like I've had it like cut out before. Like this one, it is almost like constantly a thing where it just will cut out and we're just like, what happened? But it also seems like there's some weird like lingering issues with Halo matchmaking where we just run into like weird bugs that you think they would have fixed by now. Like nothing appearing on the loading screen until you load into the game. Like the image, everything all zoomed in on their like the loading screen where you see all of like the people in your fire team. It still has some glitches that I honestly would have thought would have been. I mean, it's been almost 3 months. Yeah, you think they would have ironed this stuff out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fiesta was fun. We had a lot of fun with
Fiesta. It's one of my favorite game modes. That's why I always jump in for that event because I'm like, oh, this Samurai event's back. Let me jump into Fiesta.
Yeah, so we were playing quite a bit of Fiesta. It just was, my friend who I was playing with, he's in the military, and it just so happened to be a thing where, for the longest time, he was stationed in a part of the world where it was not really easy for us to actually communicate on a regular basis because time zones and international dateline are a thing. And so now he's stateside again, and so we've been actually able to play for like the first time in, at this point, years. And so it's been fun to just kind of dive in and play Halo like we did back when we were in college and in high school.
Really?
Yeah,
Cool.
so we've been playing a lot of that. But I've also been continuing like the hockey binge outside of games. Watching hockey games, watching Seattle beat Nashville and like was a wonderful delight, but then watching Seattle return to form against Washington last night was not as fun. But I also been watching movies like Goon, which I've watched before, but definitely was worth a rewatch. I don't know if you know this one, Chris. It's Sean William Scott plays an enforcer or a goon in like minor league hockey in Canada. And it is delightfully funny. Lots of actors where you're just like, oh, hey, that guy. At least for me, it was that way.
Sure.
Because it's like got like Jay Baruchel and God, I almost said her name from Scott Pilgrim, not her actual the actress's name.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
No, it doesn't have Mary Elizabeth Winstead. It has the drummer. It's
I forget her name. I know who you're talking about though.
yeah. But it's fun, especially if you like hockey, and it's incredibly vulgar and lots of blood and hilarious. So not necessarily something you're going to want to show a younger audience. But if you're down for raunchy humor and hockey, Goon, good. Thumbs up from me. I had seen it before, but I also watched a documentary from ESPN that was from the Russian perspective of the 1980s Winter Olympics.
Oh, the Russian perspective's very
Yeah, it was very interesting to watch. I forget the name of it. I should pull it up real quick. Just because it is on ESPN Plus, so if you got like the Disney bundle, you can watch it. ESPN Miracle. Russia. Okay. The advantage of search. I think it's like Inside the Miracle on Ice is the name. As my stuff slowly opens. No. I'll try to figure this out. But yeah, so it was a 30 for 30 of Miracles and Men. There we go. That's the name of it. I really did enjoy that one. So I definitely have to give a thumbs up to Of Miracles and Men, because to go deep into sports, which is something we don't do often, the Russian hockey team from like mid 60s through the 80s was like dominant. Like undeniably
stupidly
dominant.
dominant.
Like they changed the game. Like that Russian team legitimately changed how hockey was played. Because if you didn't play their like you could be the best player of all time. Like you could be Gretzky, and you would still get run ragged by that team because they played as a team. Like they, but I think it was fascinating to like watch and listen to, because just how the Soviet Union treated their players and how they viewed that like run of success is very, I think, interesting, because it gets, as the team became more and more successful, you could tell that the Communist Party wanted more and more control because it was a means of asserting dominance.
Sure.
So highly recommend that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it's interesting to come from the Russian perspective. That could be really.
Yeah, because I would say the big thing the documentary did that was smart is it isn't 100% about the 1980s Lake Placid games. That is a central point of it, because so much of the American cultural zeitgeist about the Soviet hockey team is that game.
Right.
It spends a lot of time talking about like the development of the Soviet ice hockey program, the people behind it, the changes, the politics, and the players. And so the 80s game, the 1980 game is kind of a blip, but it had such lasting repercussions. So it's, if you are interested in hockey at all, or like documentary, or even I want to say the socio-political aspects of of events that can occur within the Olympics, there's a whole lot in there that you could enjoy.
Right.
So big thumbs up from me on that one.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to the past 2 weeks, other than my insanity I can't talk about.
Right.
So I don't know. Why don't we dive into our incredibly brief list that we're going to probably burn through in like 20 minutes?
It could be a quick one. That's fine.
I'm fine with a quick one. I just think it's hilarious. I was legit putting the list together, and like we talked about,
Nothing
I'm just
happened,
like,
yeah.
there's like nothing happened in these 2 weeks. So first off, with TV, Disney Plus is going to be launching an ad-supported tier sometime by the end of the year. Pricing and details to be determined, which I read as they're going to charge for it, but they're going to give you a discount by running ads. And I know I wouldn't want to like subscribe to that system, even though I kind of do with Hulu now. I'm very tempted to upgrade our Hulu subscription so I can get rid of ads. But I think the fact that this is coming second rather than launching at the same time, the way Peacock and Paramount Plus have done it, I think kind of works to Disney's favor.
Yeah. Because people are already invested. People already care.
Yeah. The people who are going to subscribe have already subscribed. now the audience who wasn't willing to spend like the $6 a month on Disney Plus, but was interested because, they want to see The Mandalorian, or they want to, be able to stream a Marvel movie or play like the Disney movies for their kids whenever they want, but don't want to spend that much money on it, or feel like it's just like another subscription service I have to get to. An ad-supported tier like could be something that would get them going, especially if it's like $2.99, so like $3.
Right.
I could see people doing it, because I think the problem Peacock and Paramount Plus ran into is they launched at the same time, and so the pricing everyone learned was the pricing for the ad tier, which made everyone mad that they were paying for a service that comes with ads. And I think that didn't help them with their launch, because everyone like subscribed to Paramount Plus for like $6.99. Oh, by the way, that's the ad-supported tier. That's not going to, I think, fly well. Like Disney's pricing is aggressive, and I think this just makes their position even more, solid. They've become the king. I want to, like, at least that's how I view it in the streaming wars. Like Netflix, everyone has Netflix, but this is something I know we both have said. I don't know if they're going to maintain the dominance of being the default forever.
Right.
But
I don't know. I think that Disney has the best shot at doing that.
yeah,
I just don't think, like, I don't think me saying it's not gonna be the dominant thing, I don't think that's like a detriment or thing that like one of these is gonna come out on top. I just think there's so many now that there's nothing that's like a must have.
yeah, nothing's really a must.
Yeah, it's just gonna depend on your preference. But I think if there was one that's going to be a must have, it's going to be Disney.
Yeah, it's going to be Disney. And then I think that
it's the value of the IP that it has, and like the amount of money and the amount of like backing that they have is going to be able to outpace anyone else.
Well, it even goes to their bundle pricing. Like, you get the bundle, you get Disney Plus, you get ESPN Plus, you get Hulu, and you're still spending less than you would on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's going to hurt Netflix long term, is that they've started to price themselves higher and higher to like offset the fact that they're both slowing down in growth, but their expenses haven't slowed down because they are still working to build out a back catalog. And so their prices just keep going up. And I know there's a lot of deals out there where, like, for my family, it's like paid for by like the Verizon phone plan or some other non-such. And so it kind of is, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it becomes less of a thought.
And to be fair too, like, I don't know how you feel about this. Netflix, to me, like, I don't open Netflix unless there's like a big release going on or like something like popular is happening. Like,
Yeah.
I'll open it like once every couple months to like binge something, and then I'm like, all right, cool, I'm out.
Yeah,
We're like Disney Plus. I'm checking like every week of like, yo, what's new? What's up?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I know that Stranger Things is going to hit Netflix, I think, sometime this year. We're supposed to get more Stranger Things.
It's like, cool, I'll subscribe for Stranger Things, and then I'll unsubscribe. Like,
yeah, and I think that's the curse of Netflix's. First off, as we're beating this drum again, their marketing of their shows is just terrible.
Yeah.
And
like, okay, part of this is because we just care about more about these IPs, but like, I can tell you every date for like Moon Knight and Obi-Wan and like all this other stuff. I could not tell you when Stranger Things is coming out.
Yeah.
And like, again, part of this is because we're just more fans of these IPs than we are Stranger Things, but like, still, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, and it's the thing where it's just like something from Netflix now has to break into the cultural zeitgeist, I think, for people to pay attention. Because either they're streaming a show that they're already a fan of, or it is become so big that it's impossible to avoid, like Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, Queen's Gambit or Squid Game or like something like that, where you're like, oh, like I need to watch this.
Yeah, where it breaks into the zeitgeist, everyone's talking about it, and then you go, "Oh yeah, Netflix. I'm going to go to that." It's still got like a fantastic like back catalog library, but it seems for the most part a lot of the major studios aren't, I mean, they're not playing as nicely with Netflix as they used to in the past. They started to see Netflix as a threat a couple years ago, and we're seeing like the end result of that, where fewer and fewer titles are making it over to Netflix unless Netflix is paying buku bucks for it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just this thing, and to go bring it back to the talking point with the Disney Plus, like I feel like a Disney Plus price increase is inevitable, but at the same time, the bang for your buck of it is just so good. And then the ad support, that is a move that isn't saying we need to increase our subscriber base. This is a one way we can start getting the people who are on the fence. Like, let's just do an ad supported tier, which in some cases could be more profitable per user because advertising can be, lucrative and as a financial moneymaker for a company. So they're like, well, why not? It's kind of a win-win from the Disney perspective. Let's put the stuff out there. We can generate a bit more subscriber growth. We can generate more subscriber growth, a bit more subscriber revenue, start generating ad revenue, which if they're wanting Disney Plus to replace, because I think this is the end game, it's going to have to replace like Disney Channel and a bunch of other things in the future. Like cable will probably still be around in 20 years, but it's not going to be anywhere near the behemoth it is now.
Right.
So
continue. Go for it.
So yeah, you got to just prepare and do as much as you can to build up that growth. And it's just like Disney, they had the IP to do it, and they did the opposite approach of Warner Brothers, where they went, let's make it kind of an inconsequential expense.
Yeah.
But you had a thing.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the crazy part to think about is like, think about this past year, right? Of Disney Plus. This is really the first time, like February, this month is the first time there's been a lull in content.
Oh, I noticed because we weren't talking. Like it hit me because I'm like, we're not talking about a Marvel or a Star Wars show right now.
Yeah, well, because like think about it, they went from The Mandalorian season 2 to WandaVision, or no, they had WandaVision. No, yeah, wait, no, they had WandaVision, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Mandalorian season 2. We had What If, Hawkeye, Book of Boba Fett, and then this is like the first time in over a year where there hasn't been anything new dropping week to week.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, that's crazy.
Well, you also are leaving out some of their special things they've done, because you mentioned What If, but the Star Wars also had Visions and Bad Batch, which it's just like
I completely forgot about Bad Batch.
Yeah, so did a lot of people.
Again, I finished it. I'm not crazy about it still, but like it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But like, yeah, it's to think about the content stream of like week to week, like keeping in people's minds. They've done such a great job of doing that.
Yeah, it makes this broadcast in particular seem incredibly odd that we're not talking about a Disney Plus show.
Yeah,
we've been talking about a Disney Plus show on a regular basis for over a year now.
Yeah.
And this is the first
crazy.
Like, I legit went to Disney Plus yesterday going, am I missing something? Chris and I don't have something that we're talking about that's Star Wars or Marvel.
The weird part that like I was strangely surprised about and like I'm happy about because I'm going to watch it later, but like they just shadow dropped West Side Story on there.
Yeah. I want to watch West Side Story. Free Guy's now on there. I haven't watched that yet.
No, Free Guy's good. Like, not gonna lie, Free Guy's good.
There are a lot of, I've noticed this on multiple streaming platforms. they all are doing a better job of putting their nominees up on their streaming sites in advance
Yeah.
of the Oscars. And that is just a all around smart move, especially since for people like me who weren't going to the theater as often in the past few years, who tried to keep up on it, you kind of couldn't. But now almost everything is available either because like Apple has, I think, Coda up. Um, they have made like West Side Story available on Disney Plus, but I think it's also available on HBO. Like it's weird, like that. But they're pushing it. They're realizing that the Oscar season still matters. But in the past, it was come see it in theaters. Now it is you can watch it at home
Yeah.
because they need to keep up their subscriber numbers. Like that's the game has changed. Cue Tron music.
I mean, again, it's the thing of. By the way, did you see those Moon Knight posters? Oh my god!
I haven't, but honestly, Oscar Isaac is one of those actors who
I gotta
will
send you-
watch in anything.
I gotta send you the. I'm gonna put these in the Discord real quick. Let me look these up real quick. These Moon Knight posters are some of like the best done Marvel posters I've seen. I'm dropping the first one in there.
Oh, that looks cool. James, is it possible for you to throw that up on screen or no?
There's another one that was really fucking cool. Oh, here they are. God, these are so cool looking, dude.
Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. I like the second one.
Yeah, here's the other one. Like, look at these. Disney artists going nutty. And like this is true of Moon Knight in any medium of like comics, TV, like cartoons, anything. Moon Knight has always been aesthetically very cool looking.
I watched the trailer and just like the costume and everything. And I just was like, oh man, this just looks slick.
Yeah. Like even in the cartoons, you're just like, man, Moon Knight drips in swag. Like you're just like, bro, this dude's cool.
we talked about how I needed to start playing Cyberpunk again. I have started playing it again. I'm
And
not caught up to where I was when I last dropped it, so that I don't really have anything to add.
Sure.
But like you're talking about like Moon Knight drip like rolling and swag. I'm just like, so it's a Cyberpunk character that put all their stats into cool.
yeah.
like maybe one in body, but everything else went into cool. But no, I think it's going to be really interesting, and I know we'll talk about it.
All right, first image up.
First image is up. So now, if you are one of the few people who watches the James is running through the posters on screen.
They're so cool looking, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love these. These are so cool. And like I know you don't know too much about Moon Knight, but I'm
No.
excited for you to I'm excited for you to see what this character is because he's very cool.
Like I said, though, I will watch Oscar Isaac in almost anything.
Yeah. Do you want me to give you the pitch on Moon Knight?
Give me the pitch on Moon Knight, because I'm sure
He
it's
is-
something I've read and forgotten about.
He is basically Marvel's answer to Batman. He's very much vigilante and very he's just he's the warrior of the night, sort of so to speak. The difference is that Moon Knight, the character, depending on what you call him, the Mark Spector or whatever the human, like the Bruce Wayne character, has multiple personality syndrome. So
Fun.
so depending on what day he is, he could be Mark Spector. He could be someone else. Like it's sort of that thing. And then these different personalities manifest themselves in different ways with Moon Knight. So yeah, it's really awesome to see, and it's really cool of a character. So, the characters, think of like more fucked up Batman.
What if Batman actually broke after his parents are murdered?
Yeah, like what if Batman was actually just a schizophrenic? Like, it's really cool. But yeah, I don't know how. That's why there's a lot of concern about like how dark, like it with Disney Plus, like how dark can they go here? I mean, it seems like pretty dark seeing how he beat the crap out of that guy to a pulp in the trailer. But
Well, I think also another thing, the Netflix Marvel shows are coming
yeah,
to
Disney
Disney Plus
Plus.
here soon, and those are kind of brutal. And I think the fact that they're willing to put those on Disney Plus and not on Hulu,
Yeah,
I think says what they're willing to do with that Marvel brand on the Disney Plus channel.
yeah.
Like I don't think we're going to see Deadpool on Disney Plus anytime soon, but
I mean, they might. I mean, again, I think in Disney's mind, I think they do want to keep like Marvel is Marvel, and all things Marvel go to here.
the only reason I would think that Disney Plus won't get Deadpool, but Hulu would, is who putting it on Hulu keeps it in house, but also at the same time it means the hard R movies aren't on Disney Plus. That's where I think the line for them would be. It's not that they wouldn't want to keep Marvel all under one roof. I think it's more of a probably I can see it being a brand concern from like the higher ups at Disney that the Disney brand shouldn't have an R-rated movie.
Sure.
It's kind of the same thing with like Pirates of the Caribbean was originally a shock to some people because it was a PG-13 movie that had the Disney branding, and that was the first time that had ever happened
Right.
at that time. Not the case anymore. Not as rare anymore, but I can see that still being a sticking point for them. Because I imagine that in their mind they want Disney Plus to be something that you could give the remote to like Sam and not worry about 95% of the content.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really interested to see how this one goes because again, Oscar Isaac, I'll watch in anything. God, did you see, speaking of Oscar Isaac, did you see Dune at all?
No, but I did want to see Dune. It's something that like I think it hit me at a time where I was like, man, it's just another one, like another sci-fi thing for me to jump into. That's like that I've seen a bunch, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to dive into that again. Like,
Yeah.
how could they do this differently? It's sort of the thing I kept going back to. Like, all right, I know it's good, I know it's well done. I just seen this. I've read Dune and I've seen this story so many times where I'm like, I don't care.
Oscar
But
Isaac did like a bang up job.
oh, I bet he did.
It's just one of those
Again,
things.
this is nothing to speak bad about Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
I've just seen this show and dance so many times.
Now that he has Moon Knight and is in the Marvel, sphere again, what we need now, the thing that no one is clamoring for, but we should all start clamoring for, is where's our Poe Dameron Star Wars show? Where is my Disney Plus Poe Dameron? Give me some Poe. That's all I'm asking. Just give me some Poe. More Poe. Anything else on Disney Plus before we continue?
Nothing I can think of. We didn't talk about this. You haven't seen Batman yet, right?
No, that's why it's not on the thing.
Okay.
I have not seen it yet, so it was kind of a. Well, we'll probably talk about it next time because
I'll probably talk about it next week.
Have you
but,
seen it or?
No, but I've heard a lot of good things, and I'm very excited to see it. So
Yeah. I just figured I'd go on a give it a weekend type thing before I would go. But again, I've heard good things about it. But let's move on to tech. This one should probably actually be very quick because really it is all pre-show stuff in that Apple's having their peak performance event later this week. It's Tuesday. And of course, new iPad Air is expected. There's rumor of an iPhone SE update, which I think would always be good. The thing I'm most interested in is the long dreamed and discussed about Mac Tower that I know James and I have wished they would make. Rumors started circulating that that might actually be in the works. So I don't know if you saw this at all, Chris, but basically the idea is Apple is going to essentially take like the inner workings of the Mac Mini and then stick it into like a smaller version of the Mac Pro Tower. So that way you kind of you're not getting that much more power.
Like a mid-range.
Yeah, so like a mid-range tower, which is kind of like before I went and got the MacBook Pro, and was like, oh, I am working remotely full time and now can travel and go see family and work. That was like the dreamed system. Like, give me a Mac that can have some like expandability and the ability for me to like go in and tweak stuff. And it sounds like it might actually be a thing. Who knows? Whether that comes now or if it comes around WWDC, I think that is the rumor. That and the fact that there's a rumor that Apple is working on a new display, which is something I know the Mac community has been clamoring for years at this point. It looked like that could make this event very interesting from the Mac side if we get those two things. And that's not even to mention if we get like the update from the M1 chip to an M2, which is also rumored. So the event could be either incredibly boring and it's just the March update cycle that we've come to expect, where it's like, oh, it's not the iPad Pro update, it's the iPad Air and the iPad update, and oh, we'll give you like the mid-range phone. It sounds like on the Mac end, some very interesting things may actually be coming, if not now, very soon.
Surprising, to be completely honest.
Yeah, like I will not be shocked that this Mac Studio which is what it's been called online, if it just ends up not happening. Because it seems very much against the Apple just mode that Apple has been in really since the trash can Mac of 2013. So we're talking like almost
Man,
a
I
decade.
forgot about that one.
James has one.
Oh yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, it's...
Man,
like,
I completely forgot about that design.
But ever since then, it's like Apple's kind of like veered away from like this expandability thing or like this mini tower. So I can see it just not happening as much as I want it to happen.
Well, just like they have a really nice expandable tower now. It's just bonkers expensive. Yeah, it's like
$5 grand, please.
Yeah, and you're like, okay. I mean, I guess that's how much like a G4 cost, right?
I want to say like entry level G4 you could get for under or around 2. That's of course my memory looking at and coveting G4 towers when I was like.
But like
14.
that's like 2,000 money.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, who knows?
Someone
can do that math.
The thing, as much as we can say it's 2,000 money, if you look at like the amount you spend on a computer, the price tag has been almost consistent for the past 2 decades, which really means that the price has gone down. But yeah, if they release like a 2,000 or less like mini tower, that's kind of like all we wanted or needed.
You're like, I just need like 2 PCI slots or something, and
yeah, give me
like
a couple
8.
Yeah, give me like 2 PCIe slots and
like a terabyte of memory. Probably not going to happen. Like, I'm good with like 16, 32 gigs.
Yeah, I don't need the full memory thing. The concern it would be because of how the integrated memory is with the processor. Like, so getting like expandable memory probably won't be a thing, but like just let me open it up. Is basically the thing. Let me open it up so I can add shit. And that's kind of what I like. It's the one missing link, I'd say, in their lineup from like the enthusiast end of things. Like from the consumer end, not really, but from the enthusiast end, it's definitely, if you're not running like a production house where you need like the crazy setup for like post editing things, but you're like just doing it at home, like you're just like a aspiring YouTuber type thing, then yeah, that's the kind of equipment that we've needed.
I mean, and even in, you know, actual pro editing suites that I've been in, it's typically like an iMac Pro and not a Mac Pro, because it's like, okay, the iMac Pro is cheaper and comes with a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And you're like, if I don't need all those PCI slots, which are kind of, I don't know, not incredibly well supported on the Mac end anyway. Like, there's not a lot of, besides Blackmagic, and like I just feel like on like Apple products, Thunderbolt has kind of replaced like card
the card slot
upgrades, exactly. And it's, you know, it's basically the same interface, just in like a plug. So it's like, you know, do you need that many slots anymore?
Yeah, the real problem is I've run into this when, well, I've run into it when price shopping, not in reality. If you do want some form of expansion, and the best expansion device out there is a card, and it would work with Mac, except for the fact that you just can't install it. Like the Thunderbolt PCI expansions are like $200. So you might be spending almost like if you wanted to do like a external GPU, you would be spending like $300 just on like the GPU holder before you even factor in the cost of a GPU. And that was like before GPU prices went absolutely bananas.
But yeah,
GPU holder.
it seems like a GPU is like the only thing that actually needs to be still like made in cards and needs that kind of card speed. But like everything else, like I can't think of any other thing that would be on a PCI card that isn't kind of just like available as a dongle, annoying as it is.
There are ones where I've noticed this the most is if you do anything with video capture, the best video capture solutions are PCI cards. That doesn't mean you can't do it with just like a Thunderbolt or a USB dongle. But like if you're aiming at quality, like if you're aiming for the higher end, like you're like, oh, we need to be doing like a 4K capture at like full 60 frames a second HDR, oftentimes the only solution, at least at the moment, is an internal capture card through a PCI slot. The amount of people who need that is very low.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think, like, at least TV doesn't even do much in 4K until like recently, and it's certainly not HDR.
No, so it's one of those things where it's just like, I think it's a move in the right direction. I hope it is something they do, but I won't be surprised if they don't. Otherwise, this Apple event might just be kind of, like I said, it could just be very basic from like everything you would have expected 3 months ago. If we were like, what's going to come in a March event from Apple if they have one? And it would have been new iPad, new phone.
I mean,
and maybe a MacBook update.
They're going to have to release a Mac Pro of some kind, right?
Yeah, but I don't think.
And like, when is the 2-year? We're getting somewhat close to that. Like, we'll have everything converted by 2 years, right? Or am I mistaken?
No, we're approaching that point.
Like, that'll be May 22?
In June.
Okay.
I think we're going to see like a Mac Pro and a iMac Pro replacement.
But maybe not until June.
Yeah, I can see those not happening until WWDC. Especially if they are able to do it in a way where they're available today or available this week. I can see Apple doing that.
I don't believe that's the case, because usually by now we would see like some Apple employee leaks that are like, oh, they're here.
For doing it in March or doing it in June?
March.
Yeah. Like, I don't think we're seeing the Mac Pro now. Like, this Mac Studio is the first thing we've seen that might fall into that space. And then again, it's all very late rumor to hit for March.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I wouldn't bank on us seeing the Pro updates right now. It also makes more sense to do it at WWDC if you're Apple, because that you have confined within a small space all of the developers.
Yeah.
Who will want to buy them. So, and that's if they do Dub in person this year.
Dubs.
But yeah, no, that's what's going on in the world of tech at the moment. Let's move on. You briefly mentioned Elden Ring. I did not make a slide for it because I was just like, I don't know
Yeah,
how
it's
much Chris has
fine.
to say.
I don't
Cool.
have too much to say. I think it's really good. I think it's in running for game of the year. It's worth if you like Souls types games, it is certainly something that's worth your time. Um, that's about all I have to say about it.
I
As
do
weird as
know,
it sounds.
I haven't played it, but I do know Jeff said he inadvertently walked past the tutorial like twice.
Okay.
So
Who in
that's
the
the
house
one
is
thing that I
playing it?
know.
Jeff?
Jeff, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's great. It's a good game. I'm very excited to jump back in when I get the chance. But yeah, it's just the kind of thing where yeah, this is a really good game. I don't really have much else to say about it because yeah, it's just a really good game.
Cool. Well, let's kind of dive into what I want to say was like the possibly biggest ish news, at least in hardware for gaming, was the Steam Deck is now
Yeah,
quote out. Um, Good luck if you've been able to order one, because I know I sure as hell can't yet. But have you been able to get a hands on one at all, Chris, or is it still just
I
reading
have
reviews?
I have played with one. Um, just sort of messing around with it. Uh, it is a hefty, chunky device. That being said, I think it's a very good device, and I think that it's something that like could be very revolutionary for all everything that's going on in gaming right now in this space. Um, that being said, I think that there is still some limitation in terms of like having the amount of power that you would want in a device like this. There is a fair amount of like I don't want to say slowdown, but like so games have to be optimized for the Steam Deck
Yeah,
in order to run properly. Now, that being said, you can install Windows on it, and I assume that the case is that the games don't run as well as they would if they're Steam optimized if you just natively installed them um via
Windows.
the Windows, right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's a thing of yeah, am I excited for this? Yes. Do I want one? Yes. But at the same time, like I don't know how um not valuable, but I don't know how like how this is all going to play out.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what interests me because I did put in for a reservation on one
mhm,
months ago
sure.
because where my interest in this comes in has been the few times I've had to travel or not or like last weekend for a time I went to dog sit for Kelly and Charles while they were at Disneyland. Um and realizing like how I kind of wanted to play my games. I ended
Yeah.
up taking my Xbox with me to their place. Um, and doing that, I was just like, man, if I was instead able to take like the Steam Deck, this would be so much easier.
Yeah.
When I went to Idaho for Thanksgiving, and before that, when I went to see my parents in like June last year, like not being like talking to my friends on Discord over my phone was like one thing. Like they were playing like Fortnite or whatever, and I was joining in the conversation, but I wasn't able to play with them. Like having a device that can go when I travel, very tempting, incredibly
Yeah.
tempting.
Hmm.
That
Agreed.
alone is why I am just like, yeah, this is kind of probably going to be a thing that I get as much like I've joked it's a you know me blowing my disposable income on other various things rather than doing something useful with it. But like in those instances it's just been like yeah, I could see myself using this and wanting this. I don't see it being the thing I play with around the house.
No, and like again, it goes back to the thing of like, okay, if I want a Steam Deck, what am I actually using it for? And it goes to the thing of like, oh, to play with my friends. Okay, well, I have a laptop. Like my laptop can do that.
And
And it's like,
that's
okay, well, what about if I wanted to like play like for me personally, right? What
yeah.
games am I gonna play with my friends? Halo, cool, my laptop can do that. Valorant, I can't play Valorant on a Steam Deck anyway. Like it has no control. Like you wouldn't want to play on a controller anyway. The
If you
League,
install, did you see the thing from Bungie about Destiny?
no.
Or so Destiny can probably be installed on a Steam Deck if you do it on Windows. If you try to run it,
Oh, it doesn't work to the cheat thing, right?
well, not just anti-cheat. If you bypass the anti-cheat to work it on the Steam Deck, they will ban you.
Yeah.
Like that is almost like not just like a oh, we don't want to optimize it. That is almost like a full-on don't play it on that device. Just,
Yeah,
oof.
because I mean, yeah, because again, it goes back. It goes against their terms of service if you go back past the anti cheat. Um, so like it's a thing where like yeah, I'm excited for this, and I think it's cool, and I think it's something that I want to see improve and get better and better and better. But like for me right now, it just doesn't fit into my personal usage or like
Yeah,
how I would want to use a device.
I totally
Um,
get that because I know this is something that when I was talking to Jeff about it, and I made a comment that one of my frustrations with the Steam Deck isn't actually with Valve or the Steam Deck. It is the fact that I know full well that the Apple hardware I have purchased, like the iPad, is technically just as capable,
yeah,
but Apple won't let stuff like this fly.
yeah.
And so I look at the Steam Deck not just as a, oh, hey, I could play my games when I'm traveling thing. It is like a, here's a device I'm interested in buying because that other device I own just won't play games.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a
Really
downer.
counterintuitive, right?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
means I'm adding another device to my bag when the other devices in my bag, in theory, should be able to run some of, if not all of, the things I would play on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But Boot Camp doesn't exist on newer Macs because the M1 processor is not an x86 processor, and Apple just has never played nice with games anyway. So it's kind of just like a. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, the Steam Deck is almost just like another $500 you're spending because the $1,000 device you own it doesn't play nice, which is kind of a sour feeling.
Hmm.
Um, but I also look at it as kind of almost like the ultimate LAN device, assuming you could get every game to work on it, which is the biggest question I'd say Steam Deck has right now. Is like Microsoft going to put work in to make Game Pass work on it? Is Epic going to? Probably not. Like it's just like there are a lot of games that aren't on the Steam platform that have either already said no or have been silent.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like a yeah, there's a lot of games that might not work, but imagine if every game worked or you just went screw it, I'm running Windows. That's
Yeah.
not a bad LAN device.
No, not at all. But I mean, at that point, like you can, if you're just looking for a LAN device, like what makes this different is the fact that it comes with a screen and a controller, right? Like built
Mhm.
in, like a Switch. But like if you're just looking for a LAN device, you can get a mini PC for way cheaper, and that's gonna be way more powerful and versatile.
Yep. So it's kind of
Like,
just like a it's really interesting that way. I know James has looked at the Steam Deck kind of not too in depth because, we play games as a group, but he's
sure,
not like me or Jeff where we spent, a lot of money on our computers or play a lot of games. He's really just playing when we play as a group, and Boot Camp is not the best gaming thing out there.
sure,
So,
And just like having a like almost 10-year-old computer or 10-year-old hardware, it catches up on you.
right,
yeah. And so if you're just wanting to play if you're wanting specifically to play PC games and aren't wanting to either build a computer or buy like another computer and just want something that works, it also might be something that like fits that niche. But yeah, it's I could see it fit like basically I could see a bunch of holes that the Steam Deck can fill. I don't ever see it being like the primary console or gaming platform of choice for people. And I don't
There's
know
a
if
lot of there's a lot of holes that the Cena could fill, but not
Mhm.
my hole.
Yep.
I'll leave you with that.
Banned.
Yeah, it's like it's that's the thing about it is like I have a reservation in and I am still debating whether or not it's worth getting.
Sure.
Like
I think it's fair. I think it's a fair thing to like bring up as a concern.
yeah. Like the reviews have been positive. It sounds like they've done a bang up job. But like I think for a lot of people the question becomes like James, if you had to pick, would you want this or the Switch? I think that's going to be the question for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're each going to play completely different games. Like, that's the big thing is like, what game do you want to play?
Yeah. Because I think if you're like me and you have a full on desktop tower and a bunch of laptops and a bunch of other things, it's do I need a device that plays those games again? Or should I instead put money into like a cheaper, less expensive device that plays games that aren't already on my system? Like, should I spend 300 something on a Steam Deck or 500 something on a Steam Deck or $200 on a Switch Lite?
Yeah.
And I think that's the question a lot of people are going to be asking who would have, like, I would not have said I was in the market for a Switch, but this is making me question whether or not the Switch is a better deal.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, like, there aren't really any questions about the Switch. You know, like, the Steam Deck has kind of a lot of potential if it, you know, like, will the games work? Hopefully. Like, but
I think
there's
this
a lot
is
of, like, right now, this is the worst it's ever going to be. We would assume.
right.
Yeah,
Like,
I would hope.
And I think the one advantage of their wait list and the fact that most people are still going to have to be waiting a few months before they can even order it, we can at least see how it plays out for the first few months.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a launch can make or break something. Whether or not that launch should make or break something is debatable. We've seen it where a bad launch has ruined good games or games that became good. So that doesn't mean that its longevity is going to be dependent on what happens these first few months, but it does give us like that doesn't mean for people like me when I get the notification I can order it. I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
be
think
having
about it.
I'm gonna be thinking about it and have been paying attention to how things are going because if it still sounds like overall support is kind of meh, then maybe not now, maybe later.
Right.
And then because there is a website they have out there where you can look at what games in your library will run and which ones won't. And I
Yeah.
was surprised by how little of my library had been optimized.
Well, so the weird thing too is like so a big push that they've been making, and it's been a big talk in like my communities, is like fighting games, right? Like tournaments. The big issue you have in tournaments is like having multiple console setups and like it's hard to switch off of consoles for tournaments because they're so much easier to use.
Yeah,
But like, hey, if we're able to have something that's like easy to use in a PC form factor, it solves a lot of problems.
exactly.
And so, but the thing is, like, they've been marketing it pretty heavily towards that, and like, it's been in a lot of their pre-launch like photos. Like, they had Guilty Gear Strive as like in one of the launch trailer for the Steam Deck has it running Guilty Gear Strive, right? They took a lot of pictures with with a Junk Food Arcade's Microbox, which is like a very popular travel fight stick, or like hitbox. And so like they've been really marketing, and like you could tell someone in the FGC is working at Steam because they're very much like, oh, they're pushing all the buttons here of like like marketing towards the fighting community, right? That said, Guilty Gear Strive, again, the game that was used in the trailer, Street Fighter 5, Mortal Kombat, pretty much every big fighting game is not optimized for Steam Deck.
Yeah, and it's just like
How
question
weird
then
is
becomes
that?
like that's been the weird question I've had too. Is it's just like there's Steam Deck optimized and Steam Deck playable, where it's like it hasn't been confirmed or some things may or may not work. And what I found interesting about that is Valheim, a game I spent way too much time playing last year. And will probably spend way too much time playing in the future because it just, it was fun. I know the developers were working to make their game like more like basically they're like
Robust.
making changes and making it more robust so it would be playable on the Steam Deck. But you still look at their game, it's not even listed as optimized, and it's just like, but just playable. And it's just like, I know they did development work on that. What does that mean? It's almost like optimized, we all understand. Like someone went through, made sure the game works. But playable.
Yeah, what is playable?
What does playable mean? Because
it's very weird. It's the same thing. It's the same thing too. I get that when I don't know if you've experienced this on your Xbox yet, but like when you install a game on Xbox and it's like, cool, it's gonna take 4 hours to download, but hey, in an hour it's gonna be playable. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you boot it up, and it's like in its playable form, and it just puts you into the menu. Like it just makes it so you can boot the game. And you're like, what? What? This isn't playable. This is I can see it. This is seeable.
NHL 22's playable mode was you can get into the menu, you could only access one thing, and that was to basically you could only play as either of the two teams that made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, and could play against the team you chose not to play as. So you could be either Tampa Bay against Montreal or Montreal against Tampa Bay. And it's just like, okay, well, I can play, but this isn't what I wanted to play.
Yeah. That's sort of the same thing where it's like, okay, it's playable, but like what is the playable? And the thing is, like, it's not consistent. It is not like what one game considers playable is not what the other one considers playable. So like that metric as like a measuring stick is never right.
Yeah, and that is definitely like a concern. Like full admission on that one. I am concerned that some of the games that I would want to play are only listed as playable.
Right.
Because now I'm just like, well, how playable is Valheim?
Right.
Because Valheim is still in early access and is not optimized. So it's going to work any system hard. I already know that going into playing it on the Steam Deck. But what does playable mean? Does that mean that I can't, the build function is going to be clunky? Like, what does it mean? Like, it's not a good thing when you feel like you have to research whether or not the game you want to play will work on it properly. Like, that's just, it's not a great place to be in. And so it's just like, that's where it's like, I'm kind of glad I can't order it right away. It's just like, I want to see how it actually works. Like, what do we keep hearing? Because it seems like, as much as there's been lots of praise for it, it seems like a lot of the reviews I've read have all said that there's still some roughness to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's still some things that aren't just working as well as you would like. Doesn't mean it isn't good as a system. Doesn't mean that they don't think it's worth buying. But it does mean that I think anyone who's interested in it needs to actually do their research, which, the moment that kicks in, that means they're going to be finding a ton of reasons not to buy something, potentially, which is not a good thing for Valve to be in. But we'll see how that plays out. Because, again, I'm interested. I know I'm going to be spending plenty of time traveling to see family and all sorts of stuff in the next few years. And it would be nice to be able to boot up a game and play with my friends, even if I'm on the opposite end of the globe. So Steam Deck makes that a little easier. So why not? Like, it's I have to convince myself not to get it really at this point. But
Sure.
that also doesn't mean I have to get it right away. And I think that does it for Steam Deck and me. Anything else,
Hey.
Chris?
No, nothing I can think of.
I think we did this in under an hour.
Look at
It's
that.
one of
Look
those
at us.
rare occurrences where we haven't talked forever about something. We should come up with another topic just so we can go another half hour so no one gets confused. And James screams in agony. Okay. Let's end this thing, James.
I feel bad. James has to listen to this every other week.
Do you think it only ends when you get off the call? No. He has to listen to me even when we're not recording, Chris. That's the curse.
Yeah, like I've heard this show before. It's basically just like, for me, it's just like, what does Chris have to say about it?
He gets another perspective. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the fun things you're supposed to do on the interwebs, including making fun of Russia. That one I think is now an obligation. Please stay safe. Get vaccinated if you aren't vaccinated. Get your booster if you haven't got your booster, like me, who should still totally go get their booster. Yeah, I'm shaming myself on air.
Shame.
Shame. Where's the nun with the bell? But anyways, stay safe. Take care. I believe, Chris, we're not doing a broadcast next week or next time or in 2 weeks because of things you have obligations for. So April 3rd should be our next broadcast. Correct. I remembered correctly. And I even added a note for James so he didn't have to ask me like he does every week.
I mean, I still asked you, but then I was like, oh, Logan was nice.
Logan was nice. I'm getting better, guys. We'll see you all in April. Cheers, everyone.